And, I'm interested in what you said about Aaron Donald because after the Super Bowl, the vibe was he wanted to get back to the Pittsburgh area. And my thought was not just Steelers, but AFC North. It's all a lot closer to Pittsburgh, that he had grown weary of splitting time between Pittsburgh and LA, and you're out there for 6-7 months of the year. And it really is two different worlds. It was no more starkly proven to me than when I was out there for 10 days for Super Bowl 56. Being in and around Pittsburgh my whole life and being in LA for 10 days, I could understand why Aaron Donald would want to be back to the place where he's more familiar, because it is completely different. I'm not saying good or bad. It's just different. So maybe something's changed in the last year and a half, but that was the vibe back when they won the Super Bowl and he was thinking about retiring. Now, that may have all been part of the leverage to get the Rams to dig deep, because remember, that also included he typed up a retirement letter and sent it to the team, which was a meaningless gesture, but it was all part of the effort to squeeze them to give him another contract, and they did. So the way that contract's structured, after this year, he walks away with no financial penalty of any kind. And after this year, he very easily can say, just trade me and get value for me, or I will retire. But my concern is, as it falls apart again, if it falls apart again, and you develop that sense of despair, and you're seeing other teams thrive, and you see other teams, maybe I'd like to join that team. We get to October 31, if they're 2-6 or worse, and you're right, Cardinals and Colts are going to circle that Rams game. Hey, we better bring everything we have those weeks, because this may be it for us this year. 2-6 may be the best case scenario for the Rams, unless they got a surprise that we're not aware of. And it's just something to keep an eye on. The chatter. Because you know what happens? What do? We got an army of people covering the NFL, coast to coast. We're going to be looking for the names that could maybe be attached to trade possibilities. And for me, the one I'm going to be watching from the get-go is the Rams, especially if they start 0-3 against Seahawks, 49ers, and Bengals. And they'll be underdogs by 7 to 10 points in each of those games.
I think it's wise to watch that and to see what happens. And anything can happen, Mike. Feelings can change, emotions can change. And you never know at that trading deadline what would, for instance, a defensive tackle needy team give for Aaron Donald in his 10th year. And, that's for a guy who has been beat up as much as he has. My big question is, would a good team, and let's just throw this out there, would a good team, would the Kansas City Chiefs give next year's one
spicy
to the Rams for Aaron Donald? I think if Aaron Donald said, I'll give you a year and a half, they would do that. I would say for sure. And there's a lot of teams that I think, good teams, that if he could do that, I would bet that team would give a one. But if you're the Rams and people are talking, well, we'll give you a 3 and a 2 for him or something like that, it's got to start with a 1, and you're not doing it unless it's a 1.
Right, but here's the thing. If you're 2-6 and you're staring at the very real possibility he's going to retire after the season, anything you get is gravy. You're getting something for a guy that you may get nothing for. Now, after the season, you could trade him with that 1 year left on his contract, so maybe that's the analysis. What are they offering now as we rush toward the deadline versus what could we do in the offseason when we can maybe get more teams to the table? And one of the big talking points as we approach the start of the league year is who's going to pony up the most for Aaron Donald.
See, I don't think that that's realistic. And the reason is you have to the only way I would do this if I were another team, there isn't a Rams Von Miller situation here where, remember that the Rams, they ended up only getting half a season, although he was very valuable in that Super Bowl, and they may not have won the Super Bowl without Von Miller's impact late in the fourth quarter of that game. But if you're the Rams and you are thinking of letting one of the 5, 6, 7 best defensive players of all time go, then I think you have to make sure that you get a premium for him. And just the one other thing I would say, if you're a team that wants to acquire him, and you're Andy Reid and you're Brett Veach, and I'm using them as an example, I have no idea whether they would, stretch their cap to try to do this. I'm just using them as an example. But before you would make this trade, you'd have to say, we're not doing this for 8 weeks, nine games. We're not doing that. If you would commit to us to play in 2024, then we will trade a one for it. But if not, I agree with you. If all you're guaranteed is the rest of this season, I wouldn't trade a one for that, no matter how valuable he would be in the second half of this season.
And you never know which team is going to be that one that may do a Von Miller type deal. And that would be the Rams' counter to it. Why do you need to guarantee he's going to play beyond this year? We gave up significant assets to get Von Miller, and we only had him for the rest of the season, and he helped us win a Super Bowl. So, and it all is going to be happening under a very compressed time period with a ticking clock toward the Halloween deadline. It's just something to keep an eye on, because I agree with you. This could be a lean year for the Rams. Now, the good news for the Rams is the bar is low, so anything they do that is positive is going to make people say, hey, how about the Rams? We didn't expect this. And what a turn of events. 20 months after they won the Super Bowl, less than that. They're a team that we're just looking at saying, oh, well, maybe they'll win 5 or 6. It's just amazing how quickly they've fallen apart. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.